Hey everybody, so we are back for book review number 13. So still working through the Hallowmere series. So we are on the fourth book that I just finished in the series. So that is this one, Hallowmere, Maiden of the Wolf. So I wasn't really sure where the author was going, and I think I said that after the third book. So again, this one's by Tiffany Trent, but on this one, she has a co-writer. On the last three books, there's a co-writer. So, Angelika Ranger is the co-writer on this one, and like I said, I wasn't sure where she was going. It left off on a really bad cliffhanger, so I was kind of excited to get into the next book, and then I discovered that she went in a really interesting path choice, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. So, in this particular book, if you've been keeping up with the other ones, so the original story is about Corinne. She discovers that she's half Fae, and she's dealing with the attacks from the hallowed and the unhallowed Fae, blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the third book, there's a huge cliffhanger, and all of Corinne's friends are heading into the Wraths to try and get the Wrathstone. That way they can get back to Hallowmere and help all the hallowed Fae, blah, blah, blah. So I assumed that it was going to pick up and maybe have, a couple chapters here and there about their adventures in the Wraths for each character, because there are 3 characters that go into Wraths. And that's not at all where the author went. This entire book is the adventure of one girl in the Wrath. And so I was looking at the other 2 books that I'm going to read next, and they are also the same. So I don't think she's going to finish the series the way I wanted her to. I don't think the series is going to wrap up, and I'm kind of upset about it because the way this ended is... or I guess the way that this story is so one of the girls, Ilona, Ilana, I don't know how to say it. She's from Hungary, and she's very much a tomboy. And her whole thing is that she wants to be a fighter, and she wants to be a knight, and she loves war and strategy and all that stuff. That, like, every time they talk about her in the other books, that's what she does. And when they went to London in the third book, her job was to go amongst the ruffians of London as a boy. And so she started doing that. And then in this book, she goes into the Wrath, and she basically gets like the opportunity that she's always wanted of being a knight. And she finds that there is a group that has several members that respect her as a knight, as a swordswoman. They respect her for just being who she is. They don't try and change her or anything like that. And so she kind of becomes friends with them, and she does a lot of work to try and find the Wrathstone. She's stuck in this Wrath for a very long time, and she gets to fall in love for the first time, blah, blah, blah. But then at the end of the book, it leaves off on another cliffhanger of her, like, coming back into her world from the Wrath, and it's like the world's worst cliffhanger, because I know that when I go to the other book, it's going to be about the other Wrath, and it just really bothers me. So I'm going to finish the series because I want to finish the series and I want to know kind of where it goes. But, like, these are obviously middle of the series books, and I'm kind of annoyed that this was a whole book and that the other 2 are whole books about them just being in the Wrath. Because none of them are together. So, like, none of the other characters are together. You get basically kind of like solo stories for all of these sub characters, which is nice to kind of like get into their brains a little bit more. But I'm just like, you left me on a really bad cliffhanger, and then I got to go through 3 books before, in technicality, I should have gotten back to where the story picks up, and I don't know if the story is going to pick up there. So I haven't started reading the other books yet. I'm going to start reading them soon, but I really like this series. Like, the longer I've read it, the more I'm liking the series, for all of its historical inaccuracies. I do like some of the stories that Tiffany Trent has pulled from actual history and tried to weave into her book. I think she's done a halfway decent job of that. But I really hate that she didn't finish the series, or if she did finish writing the series, that it wasn't published. And I'm like, how do we get this published? Like, do we start a GoFundMe? Do we like force her to finish writing? I don't know. But it just really bothers me that the series just kind of drops off. So for this book, I would give this book, honestly, out of the 4 that I've read so far in the series, this book was definitely the darkest of the books. It was the most violent of the books. This is supposed to be like a young adult, older teen fiction, and I just felt like it had a couple moments where it kind of went Game of Thrones-esque, and I was like, whew, wasn't ready. Not super graphic and grotesque like Game of Thrones, which, by the way, I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I did read the first 2 books. But it just kind of headed in that direction, so I wasn't quite prepared for that. But I think the story needed it. It kind of needed that slightly darker edge. And I don't know if that was a Tiffany Trent thing or this Angelika Ranger person. Which, that's another thing. I'm really confused by the fact that the last 3 books all have co-writers. So I feel kind of like Tiffany Trent kind of gave up on her writing, which makes me sad. Because the series wasn't, like, it isn't a bad series. And honestly, like, I was just thinking, I was like, if this was, picked up by one of the streaming platforms, whether it be Netflix or Hulu or something, I think they could do a halfway decent job if we could get her to finish the series or finish publishing it, or at least release the rights to it or something. Because I think it would be halfway decent. So I would give this one a 3 out of 5. Again, partially because it just takes such a huge detour. I wanted to rate it higher because I thought that writing-wise, this one was better than the first 3 books. Like, talking like level 4 maybe. But because it's such a big deviation from the rest of the story, like, we have no idea what's happening to anyone else going on in any of the other rafts. I would feel differently if it was like every other chapter was talking about each person that's in the raft. Like, that makes sense to me, instead of just the whole book. So that's why I'm giving it a 3. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Hallowmere series. I'm going to start this is 4, so 5th book. Hopefully tomorrow, maybe later tonight. But I hope everybody has been enjoying these so far. Really enjoying kind of working my way through series. I think I mentioned this in the last video, but found some other series that I'm going to be getting through and reading after digging through some stuff at school. So I'm excited for those later in the year. And as we are working through March, we're in the 3rd month of the year. So coming up this summer, I'm hoping to have a lot more time to do some actual reading. So I'm hoping to get more videos out to everybody over the summer. But I'm excited. My last video actually got the most views so far. And I'm sure over time it will get a lot more views. I'm not making these to go viral, but I know people really enjoyed the last one. There was a lot of discussion on the last one. So I appreciate everybody that's been watching, and I hope you guys continue to watch. So that's it for this time, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!